3, 4. Good people of the internet, this is Jed from Your Guitar Academy. Today we're going to be looking at the introduction to Red House by Jimi Hendrix. So one really important thing to bear in mind, this can be confusing, it's confused me, is that Jimi Hendrix is playing this song on the guitar. He's playing it in the key of B, in this B position, so on the 7th fret, but his guitar is tuned down a semitone, so every string is tuned down by one note. So if you try and play along with this song in this position, it's going to sound out of tune. If you want to play along, the best thing to do is probably tune your guitar down by a semitone. You could try and play it a fret down, but I find that confusing, and I think you might find it confusing too, but you can try all kinds of things. Main thing we're going to focus on is playing it in this B position. But I'm not going to tune the guitar down. I'm going to keep it in standard tuning. So I'm going to teach you how to play this in standard tuning. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So this intro is being played over basically a 12-bar form. So it's a 12-bar blues in B. So hopefully you're comfortable with 12-bar blues in B. If you're not, we've got some blues courses you can check out to get more familiar with that. And the feel of the tune is kind of a 12/8 feel. So that sort of thing. You might be familiar. So the intro is just guitar by itself, but it's starting at the beginning of the 12 bar. And it's starting up here, so we're going to be on the G string and the top E string on the 11th fret. And this is essentially the top part of a B7 chord, because we've got the 5th and the major 3rd of the chord here, and those are the notes we're playing. I'm using my middle and ring finger. So middle finger's on the G string, 11th fret. Ring finger's on the top E string, 11th fret. And what we're going to do is we're going to pluck between each note, and we're starting on the G string. Now I'm doing a downstroke for the G string and an upstroke for the top E string. And what I'm going to do actually is give us a little tempo so that you can hear the phrase against a metronome. So we've got... So there's a 12/8 feel 4-bar loop we've got going. So that's what I'm doing there for that first bit. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So what happens after we do this? We're going to slide down, same exact finger position here. We're going to slide our middle finger and ring finger down by 1 fret so that we're on the 10th fret. And do exactly the same picking. Same strings, same position, just... And then we slide back up to where we started, but we strike both strings at the same time. And we slide down the guitar. And then the guitar comes into some lead stuff. So the way you want to think about this is the minor pentatonic shape, box 1. So what we're doing here is we're bending up to the root note. So that's the 10th fret on the B string. And it's a full tone bend. You can make guitar faces if that helps the note. And we're going to do that 3 times. And I'll do that against the rhythm again so that you can get a feel for what it's like. So we've got... After that, we're going to go... So what I'm doing there is I'm still on the same fret, doing a full tone bend again. Doing a full tone bend, going back to that note, bending back up, another full tone bend, then releasing the note again. So that should sound like this. So after we've done this, this is the next phrase. Now this phrase is interesting because it kind of speeds up halfway through. So it takes a few goes through it to kind of get it. It took me a while to get that. One thing to know is it speeds up on the root note. So we're starting here, we're bending on the G string, 9th fret. I'm doing that with my 3rd finger. And then I'm landing here on the 7th fret on the B string. And then the 7th fret on the top E string. And that's where it's going to kind of speed up. Next note after that is the 10th fret on the B string. After the 10th fret on the B string, you're going to do 7th fret on the B string. Then we're jumping up here to the 9th fret on the top E string. And after we've gone here to the 9th fret on the top E string, we're going to go down the pentatonic scale, basically. So we're going down the root and then the flat 7. So the root is the 7th fret on the top E string, 10th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the B string, and then we're going to bend the 9th fret on the G string. And it's a full tone bend. So that should sound something like this. Cool, so now we're on to this next phrase where we're sliding. That's what I do here. We're sliding from the 7th fret on the G string up to the 11th fret on the G string and then back down to the 7th. Now you can experiment with what finger you want to use. It doesn't really matter so much. I think it's just kind of a feel thing. If you use your 3rd finger, you've got more power for vibrato if you want to do that. Like maybe a bigger bend. Because I think Hendrix was known for those big bends. Or maybe you can do that with your index finger. So we're sliding up 7 to 11. Back down to 7 with some vibrato. Then we're doing the same intervals, but we're bending this time. It's quite a big bend. So 7, that's a 2-tone bend. So 7 up to 11. So this next whole bit, there's quite a lot happening. Very similar phrases, so we'll break it down. So we've got... So the first part of this, we're bending up on the 9th fret of the G string. This little phrase happens a lot in Red House. So bending up on the 9th fret of the G string, full tone bend, landing on the 7th fret of the B string, then the 7th fret of the top E string, then the 10th fret of the B string. So that's that first phrase. Then we're going, so that's the 7th fret on the top E string, then the 10th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the B string, and then bending up on the 9th fret on the G string. So those two phrases together. So this is the next one. I went into the next one. So what that is 7th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the top E string, 10th fret on the B string, 7th fret on the B string, and then we're just landing on the 9th fret of the G string. So So the next phrase we're going to do is this one. I'll play that a little bit slower. So we've got quite a few double stops going on here. So the first one is here. We're going to be, again, we're in this, it's all pretty much in this B blues kind of minor pentatonic box shape. If you get lost, if you forget where you are. That's kind of the main anchor point for this intro. So here's our double stop. What I'm doing is hitting the B and the E string on the 7th fret. And I'm immediately doing a hammer-on with my 3rd finger to the 9th fret on the B string and continuing to ring that top E string out. And then straight after, hitting those 2 notes again, so the B and the E string. The note after that is going to be the 9th fret on the G string. So this one here, so. And then this double stop. So what I'm doing there is holding the 7th fret on both the G and the B string. And plucking both of those. And then doing a hammer-on with my middle finger to the 8th fret. So far we've got this. So after we've done this double stop and hammer on here, we're going to hit the 9th fret on the D string. It's as if we're going down the blues scale until we get to this note, and we're going to hit the major 3rd, which is the 6th fret on the A string. So that whole phrase sounds like this. So we've got 9th fret D string, 7th fret D string, 9th fret A string, 8th fret A string, 7th fret A string, 6th fret A string. Cool, say that one fast. That's a tongue twister, isn't it? Cool. I'll just play that phrase again, kind of slow, so you can maybe see what my fingers are doing, if you couldn't catch them. If they were too quick, here we go. So we got... When I do this chromaticism here, I'm starting with my 3rd finger, going down to my 1st finger here, and then my 1st finger also plays this fret. So nice. Cool. So our next phrase after this one that we just did is going to be. So we're in a slightly different position on the neck here. So what's happening here is it's become major. So it's like major pentatonic. So you could think about that kind of like you've taken this minor pentatonic box shape and just moved it down 3 frets. That's a really easy way of visualizing it. So, and the phrase is this. So what I'm doing here is I'm sliding on the A string from the 4th fret to the 6th fret with my 3rd finger. Then we're landing on the 4th fret of the D string. Then the 6th fret of the D string. And then the 4th fret of the G string. So I'll do that in context with the phrase before. So we've got... Great. The next phrase after this is very similar. It's an octave up. And the way Jimi Hendrix phrases is it kind of slows down a little bit. Gets a little bit funny, kind of. So we've got... Sometimes just getting the notes is adequate enough. I think you can learn where to put your fingers. Once you've nailed that, then you can go and kind of, if you want to, adopt the phrasing he had. So it's like, to me, it feels like it slows down this second part. So what I'm doing here, we're still in B major pentatonic. And this is kind of like the first box shape of your major pentatonic. So what I'm doing here is using my middle finger. I'm kind of sliding, I'm trying to get the note in between. So rather than this, it kind of crawls up. So middle finger sliding up to its 6th fret to the 8th fret. Kind of catching the 7th on the way. But keep it subtle. After that, we're going to land on the 7th fret of the B string and do the same thing. We're going to slide up with our first finger from the 7th fret to the 9th fret. And then we're going to land on the 12th fret with our 3rd finger. And give that some vibrato when you get there. So we've just done these 2 phrases where we're running up to this root note on the 12th fret of the B string. So this is all kind of major pentatonic sound, or major blues, however you want to think about it. And then we're doing this. So after we've hit this note, I'm sliding up from the 12th to the 14th, and then bending almost immediately. So, and what that bend is, that's a full tone bend on the 14th fret of the B string. And we're going to be here for a little bit. So we're going to go, and we're going to bend that note and pluck it 3 times. And again, that's a full tone bend. So this is the next phrase. So after these 3 full tone bends, we're going to put our pinky on the 14th fret of the top E string, and we're going to keep holding this note that we've bent on the B string. And we're going to do that motion twice. So we're going to bend this note 3 times. Then we're hitting this 14th fret on the E string. And then we're going to bend up and do that again. So from those three bends, it should sound like this. And then the phrase after that is this. So what I'm doing here is bending down. So it's kind of I guess it's a pre-bend from the phrase before, and I'm bending down. So that's the 14th fret, full tone bend, and we're plucking it and bringing that down. So we go. So. After that, so bending down from that pre-bent 14th fret, and then I'm doing a pull-off from 14 to 12 on the B string. Then I'm muting the string, and then I'm plucking the 12th fret again. So. And then the next bit after that, it's kind of a pre-bend. So we're jumping to the, what fret is that? The 15th fret. So this phrase is kind of tricky. You can kind of experiment with where you want to start with that note. It's a pre-bend. So I'm pre-bending the 15th fret on the B string, and I'm bringing it back down. And then I'm doing, again, another 2-tone bend. So I'm aiming for this note here. And that's quite a big stretch. So what we're doing, I'll talk you through that again. So we go pre-bend the 15th fret on the B string, pluck it, bring it down, and then you bend it, what is that, a 2-tone bend up to that note. And then we're going to pluck that again, bring it down, and then land on the root note. So that's the 12th fret of the B string. So that should be that phrase. So this is the next phrase after that. So what I'm doing here is bending up. Again, this is that major pentatonic kind of feel and sound. I'm bending up on the 14th fret on the B string, hitting the 14th fret on the top E string, and then I'm bending back down, so I'm plucking that note that I've already bent up, and then landing on the root note again, which is that 12th fret on the B string. After this phrase, we've got the penultimate phrase, which is that. I think he actually does a slide here. So there's a lot of little intricacies that I think just happened by chance while he was improvising. So there's funny little notes that you might catch if you listen closely, as well as some other bends. They might be slightly flat of where maybe a two-tone bend is or something. It's up to you if you want to try and recreate it as close as possible, but I think the spirit of it was he was making this up. So if you hear him play another version of Red House, it's going to be very different. And it's going to have all those interesting noises and things that he did because he was being spontaneous. And so there's things happening in there that maybe he intended, maybe he didn't. But yeah, kind of maybe play it like you, let your own character come out. So here's that penultimate phrase. So we've got this again, we've seen this quite a few times. So the beginning of the phrase, we're bending up on the 9th fret of the G string. Then we're landing on the 7th fret of the B string. Then we're landing on the 7th fret of the top E string. After the 7th fret on the top E string, we're hitting the 10th fret on the B string. And this is a pull-off again. And then we're doing a pull-off, it's in very similar fashion, on the top E string. So that'll be the 10th fret to the 7th fret. So we did this pull-off on the B string, and that's the 10th fret to the 7th. And then we're doing the 10th fret to the 7th on the top E string straight after. I'll try and play that slow for you. If you can get a bend in here, or some kind of slide, it just adds a little flavour. Cool. So I'm not exactly sure what he was going for this last phrase because there's a funny note in there. It sounds great, but I had a hard time trying to hear exactly what he did. And so I've made a slight approximation for what I think he was going for. So this is the phrase I'm going to show you. So what we're doing here, again, we're in this minor pentatonic box shape in the key of B. And we're starting on the 10th fret of that top E string. 10th fret on the top E string. 7th fret on the top E string. Then we're jumping down to the B string. We're doing the 7th fret there. Then we're doing this phrase. So what that is a half tone bend on the 9th fret of the G string. And then we're releasing our finger again to play the 9th fret by itself. Then we're playing the 7th fret on the G string. Then the 9th fret on the D string. And then the 9th fret on the A string. So I'll play that really slowly for you. So that's the entire introduction of Red House. I think what I'm going to do now is maybe loop a 12 bar and attempt to play the intro for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed that lesson today. If you're interested in diving deeper into any of the aspects we were looking at, like improvisation or Jimi Hendrix, we've got a Jimi Hendrix course that's on the Guitar Club. Otherwise, thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.